Welcome. My name's Kelly from Team Flower, and today we are going to do a little summer rose study. Some of these flowers will more than likely be available year-round, these ones laying down here, but I feel like it is just like really high tide for those field-grown garden roses that might be hanging out in your yards right now. Let's chat about a couple of them and just familiarize yourself with the flowers. I also want to tell you where they're coming from. A lot of people have trouble sourcing blooms. No matter where you source from, substitutions are going to be something that's normal. The more you and your sales rep are studied and know about all the different varieties that are available, it will be easier for you to be able to still accomplish the overall goal and mood and feeling of the arrangements that you are working to create whenever availability on something is running a little bit low. So that's why I wanted to do these studies to help familiarize you with some of these varieties, and I also want to tell you where they're coming from so that you can have great products headed to your door. I was at a floral design course with one of the very best designers in the country, and whenever it was time for Q&A, the room shifted to talking about how can I source my blooms instead of asking this designer about her process and things like that. And that was very telling for me that you want to know where to find the flowers. So let's talk about that as well. So let's start over here. This is Peach Shimmer. A newer variety of rose, but has popularized, so is readily available at this time in most places from most wholesalers. So this is a very true peachy color in the middle, and it bleeds out to a light pink. And it has, I would consider this to be a medium petal count, because whenever I press on this, there's not so many petals in there that it's hard to give it just a little bit of a tug whenever they first come out of the container. And that medium rose is really great because it has time to open a bit before the event takes place. Single petaled things open low petal count things open the fastest, medium a little bit longer, full petal count even longer to open. So when you have something with a really full petal count on it, you need to really make sure that you're taking great care of its water and all those kinds of things so it has all of the resources that it needs to develop and bloom out properly. Some of those really high petal count things you might want to get in significantly earlier than your lower petal count things so that everything is peaked and blooming in prime time for whatever event that you're working on. But back to Miss Shimmer, this would be considered a standard rose, but I love how it has the different depths of the colors and of even just the levels of petals within the bloom. So this is a really fun one for peach palettes whenever you want to have that. Then we have this one, Kahala, and this one has a lot. This would be considered, as opposed to maybe a peach rose, this would be a varied rose because the colors inside this rose vary so much from front to back. So in the very center, it is just the lightest, peachiest blush tone in the very center. And then as you work your way out with these petals, it goes the whole way really to just like a rich, kind of more of like on the warmer side of a fuchsia pink. So that is Kahala. And you'll notice that the levels in the petals in the Kahala just a little bit less varied than the Peach Shimmer. More of a round type of shape as well. And then we have this one, which is called 3D. And this is definitely a richer toned rose the whole way around. But like Kahala, it has these really rich outer petals here, but even just more variance on the individual in the individual petals. I mean, at the edges, it's almost bleeding out to like a yellow, and definitely a richer peach in the middle with just these pink tones kind of into each of the individual petals. slightly larger rows than these two, like whenever we hold them up. Higher petal count on this one, a little bit longer to open. Just for context on these roses came in on Monday and it is now Saturday. So this is day number 5 in their development. They have not had any time in the cooler. They have been left out to develop and open. So I feel like that context can be helpful maybe if you're feeling like, oh, is it too early to get the roses? Roses need some time to develop, but they also need excellent care whenever you receive them to be able to bloom out to their fullest. Now let's talk about a couple of spring roses. These are called Ginger, and this one here is called Pink Prana. Again, Monday, Sunday, or Saturday, so these are 5 days outside of the cooler as well. Lighter pink, more medium pink. This one is blooming out slightly lower petal count. Whenever you squeeze here, you can kind of feel it. So these ones are going to open up to be real wide. These ones are going to need more time. They may not ever fully bloom out to this this level. They could, but it would just take quite a bit of time and a lot of extra care to be able to get them the whole way to that point. So anyway, just want to touch on these few varieties. And then these are a field-grown garden rose. These are from Felicia and Menagerie Farm out in California, and she is also shipping nationwide. So the main difference is that this would be maybe a little bit more of a seasonal product, but these were delivered on the same day that these were. They have a pretty low petal count, so base life on these is going to be a little bit less than some of these ones with the medium and higher petal counts. Something really important about the field-grown roses is that you'll notice that there's oftentimes a lot more thorns. And I like to leave the thorns on field-grown garden roses. I feel like that is a part of what really helps with longevity in these beautiful roses. Every time you're snipping a thorn, you're creating a little spot that flower needs to send some energy to heal. Bacteria can get in there and get up in the flower a little bit easier. So those are some reasons why I like to leave the thorns on. But they can be really mean, the thorns on these. Just hold them very gently with a lot of care, and you'll be okay. But that's one of the conveniences with some of these roses is that virtually they've been bred to be virtually thornless. These you have more scent and those kind of true things that remind you of a rose. With varieties like these, you compromise the no thorns and things like that for that scent sometimes. But I've been so impressed with all of the varieties that have been coming out and just the great color nuances that we're seeing. So again, it's summertime, it's July. These things are all happening in tandem with each other.